All attendees are in listen-only mode. Seriously? How do we get out of listen-only mode? All right, good evening, everyone. Let's see. Can everyone give me an idea or a comment if you can hear me? Because it shows I'm transmitting. Excellent. Okay, good. Let's see. Well, welcome everybody. This is the session 1 of the 4-week Cloud Practitioners Essentials study course. So welcome. It's glad to have you. There'll be more people joining, obviously, as we can talk. So I'll go just over some random things while we're waiting for people to join. Sometimes this takes a minute. Let's see. So I got a few questions. We are going to go through some logistics. We're going to talk about different pieces, including, let's see if I can pull this up actually, the play factal pieces. Let's see where that's at. let's see, Cloud Practitioner Essentials. There's the link. Let's go to it. So I'll make sure that I put that into our little building sheet. All right. So, Chris, you were saying I was supposed to receive the study materials along with the Jeopardy game. Have yet to receive it. Okay. So I will make a note of that. So the support team, Chris, will make sure we get you on there. We'll probably send out a follow-up email, so I want to make sure. Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, I'm going to go through a lot of stuff today that isn't going to require anything that they're going to send you necessarily, but we'll cover it in detail to make sure. So good. So while we're waiting, because people are going to be joining at 7:32, and I want to be very cognizant of time. While we're waiting, if you can, please type into the chat whether you are just interested in the Cloud Practitioner Essentials certification or if you're interested in a certification beyond that. So let me know if your ultimate goal, what your ultimate goal is. If your ultimate goal is a Cloud Practitioner certification, just say Cloud. If it's something else like developer or architecture or sysops or specialty exam, please list that as well. Just kind of curious as to what people's intentions are. Cloud. Okay, good. Lydia, architecture, security. Gotcha. Good. Good. All right. All right. I'm also going to forewarn you. I'm about to unmute all of you because I really would like people to talk. Please mute yourself. You just want to make sure you're taken care of there. I just want you to know. So mute yourself, right? I just want to make sure that I've unmuted you because it'll give you the ability to unmute yourself in the future. But if I've muted you, then unfortunately you can't unmute yourself. So I just want to make sure that was done. So, all right, good. All right, so it looks like Brendan Cloud, let's see, Francis Cloud, Lydia Architecture, Security and Security. Okay, good. So two securities and architecture, two clouds. So obviously you're here because Cloud Practitioner Essentials is the starting certification. Which is actually just recently come out because previously this was a digital class. The cert's been out for a while, but then they realized that the digital class wasn't awesome like they wanted it to be, so they added in the instructor-led class. And so now, here we are after having the associate's exams and the professional exams for a long time. We're now coming back, and now they've got the cloud practitioner exam. So the other thing I want to check on is I'm assuming that, and I'm going to frame this as a negative, I'd like for you to type no in chat if you have actually not taken the Cloud Practitioner Essentials one-day course, even if it was split across 2 days. Is there anybody who has not taken the Cloud Practitioner Essentials course? Excellent. Good. That means everybody is exactly where they're supposed to be. Okay. So let's talk about this. We're gonna cut to the chase. As other people join, they can let us know what's going on. Attendee is muted by organizer. Hold on. Let's make sure people are self-muted. Francis, I just unmuted you, so please mute yourself. Let's see. Lydia, I just unmuted you. You can self-mute. Good. All right. Good. I just want to make yourself muted in case you want to pop off and talk. So, all right. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. One, who is this crazy guy talking? So I'm Michael Forrester. So I am an AWS trainer. I think officially I am an Amazon authorized instructor. I work for an Amazon training partner. I also work in the industry. So just so you're aware, I'm not just a trainer. I'm also someone who works. I actually work in an enterprise company. And if you look at my history, which my LinkedIn profile is here, I have worked for 120,000 person companies. I've worked for startups. And so I have a ton of experience in cloud, and I've been doing cloud since November of 2011. So, which is a sordid tale that we'll tell later because this isn't about me. But you're in good hands with me. I have trained and certified a number of people, and I have run and led DevOps teams, the world over. So everywhere from Sri Lanka and India, all over. So hopefully you're in good hands. I am an infrastructure guy. So if you start asking me questions about deep level programming or machine learning or even deep level security, I'm not going to be your man. But don't worry, I have no problem telling you I don't know. So I will tell you if I don't have an answer. So, and I will direct you to an appropriate resource. So, good. Okay. So everyone's in the right place. You guys all have taken the AWS Certified Essentials class, so you know that you're supposed to be here, which is perfect because that's what I want. So let's talk. Let's just get into brass tacks here, and let's talk about what we're doing and why. So AWS is a 30-something billion industry now as of 2019. We'll see what 2020 looks like. But oddly enough, cloud usage has gone up with COVID-19, and so I hope that you're all staying safe and sane. I know a lot of people are getting cabin fever. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, so I would love to hear, where is everybody located in the country, if you don't mind sharing. But I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and we're a very experimental state, despite being relatively conservative. And we have, experimented with some restrictions. I'm sure we showed up in the news. So that all being said, now's a good time to get your certification because things are a little bit more locked down. Cloud usage is going through the roof. And cloud has been around since 2006 when AWS first published their SQS service, and then S3. And so cloud is now 14, 15 years old. And we are exactly where Forrester and Gartner predicted we would be at this time. They said that everything would be hybridized. And so we would have a lot of people using cloud, and then we'd have a lot of people in the data center, and that other competitors would arise to challenge AWS's sovereignty in the cloud space, which of course it did. And so, AWS is considered to be the market leader by a fair margin, but obviously all that changes over time, so who knows. So it's a great time to get a certification. I am familiar with Azure and with GCP, so Google Cloud as well. But we're here for the next 4 weeks just to do the Cloud Practitioner Essentials exam. So we're going to talk about that exam. We're going to talk about how to get registered and scheduled for it. I've got a little document that I've been throwing together and adding to it to kind of provide some structure and give you some guidance about, what to do and how to approach this. So let's see. Let me just check. Keith, I'm going to unmute you for a second, so please self-mute because I want you to have control over your mute. Let's see, Jamie, I'm going to unmute you as well, so please mute yourself so you have control over your mute capability. Hello, Jamie. It's good to see you.
Risky move, Michael.
I know. I know. I've been doing it to everybody, though, and thus far it's paid off. So. All right. So Cloud Practitioner Essentials, that's why we're here. So this could be a springboard to lots of other areas. If you are just joining us, some people typed into the questions area what they were going for, whether they were just going for cloud, which is totally appropriate, or if they were going ultimately for architecture or security or some other specialization. So if you haven't done that, would love to see what your ultimate goal is for the certification. Other logistics. So we are meeting tonight, and we are going to stop at 8:30. Now I'm going to linger just in case people have questions, but we will officially close the class at 8:30. And if somebody wants to linger around and talk, I'll give people 5 minutes. If nobody wants to talk, that's fine. I'll just hang out by myself and then I'll leave. But if you want to talk, don't worry, I'll be here. We don't just have to cut the knees off at 8:30. We'll be available to answer questions. But I want you to note this schedule right here says very clearly, and hopefully you've gotten an email, we are not meeting on Memorial Day. We're not meeting the day after Memorial Day because that's the 26th. After today, you're actually going to have just 1 day shy of 2 weeks. We won't be meeting again until June 1st, and that's a Monday at 7:30. You will get a reminder. And we're going to be meeting on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern every night thereafter. So for 3 nights. So starting from June 1st, June 8th, and June 15th. So just want to make sure that we're clear. We will not be meeting next week. We will not be meeting. We will be meeting the week after, and on a Monday, not on the Tuesday. My contact information is in this awesome little doc that I'm going to share for you. Now, I know that some of you, if you're on your corporate network, by the way, can't actually, hold on, let me change this to anyone with a link. Can't actually access Google Drive, so make sure you're off of VPN when you access this. Bottom line also is that if you need to talk to me, I will type in my email address right here, michaelforrester@webagesolutions.com, or without maybe the K actually. So you'll see it in there. It says COKM. So just know that if you get confused about the time or you're wondering, please email me. You've got my number as well. So that's a Google Voice number. It will reach me anywhere I'm at. You can text me as well and I'll respond. So reminder, we're not meeting again until June 1st at 7:30. That's our next meeting. Good. Any questions about logistics? I'm getting some interesting comments on the questions line. So good. Keith, I see that you're shooting for architecture. That's good. Matt, I saw security cert. Let's see. And we seem to be missing a few people, including Greg Wagner, who I might introduce to you guys. He's my counterpart at WebAge Solutions. Huh. Okay. All right. We're gonna keep rolling forward. All right, so let's talk about what this session is about. So every week when you come, you will have studied. Now I'm going to let you know the certification, even though it's the foundational level certification, it's going to take some investment on your part. But here's the cool thing, it's just a little bit each day. I don't need anything heroic. So we're going to follow kind of a checklist. It's going to be a little bit reverse from the way I talk about it when we actually like do the study guide, because you guys are in a study group. So I like to put a little bit of pressure on the whole process, although I'm not going to follow up on this. So when I give you tasks, the accountability is the honor system. Obviously, this is not school. We're not tracking the fall of every sparrow here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that if you're here studying for the exam, one of the first things that I recommend that you do, that we're not going to do right now, is that you actually schedule the exam. And you might be like, whoa, Michael, I just came for the study group and now you're making it really real by asking me to schedule the exam. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. But if you are ready for that and all the stars align and everything's good for that, what I recommend is that, and I'll have the link in here, is that you just go to the AWS certification site and it will take you to a sign-in page. And when you click on sign in, oh, hold on. Can you see my screen? You can't see my screen, so it doesn't really matter. let's switch that. All right. Okay. Bear with me just one second. Having some logistical challenges. Okay. Boy, this thing is just not going to cooperate. Bear with me just one moment. I have to switch all my windows around because it will not give me an option to choose a different screen. All right. So this is the class that I was referring to, and the one I just posted the link for, right? Which I'm going to add to, so you're going to see this grow greatly. But the other piece is that I actually just clicked on schedule your exam, and what ended up happening is it took me to this particular page to schedule an exam. So I'm going to click on schedule the exam. Chris, answer your question, because Chris answered a great question. He said, how is the test being proctored? Just so you know, about 2 months ago, all of the AWS exams went online. The Cloud Practitioner exam, though, has been online for months and months and months. I actually just retook it recently, like just to see what it would be like to take it. And it was quite entertaining, actually. And I have some tips around that we're going to talk about on how to figure that out. But once you get here, it'll probably ask you to log in. And you want to log in using an email that you have full control over. So it won't be a BAH email or a Capital One email. It won't be like any kind of like company email. It's going to be an email specific, right, for that you control, like a Gmail or a Yahoo account. I happen to use my account that I've had with Amazon for a long time, which I also use for shopping, oddly enough. And then what will happen is you're not part of a partner network. You're just you. So you just log into all regions, which is what's showing up here right now. So it says use an Amazon account, not AWS, right? And then it'll ask me to log in. So I have several AWS accounts. So I'm actually going to use my like personal professional account. At least that's what I tell myself, IT Amazonian, right? And then I log in, and it'll say, hey, welcome back. You, Michael Forrester, already have an account. For you, what you might see is it'll say, hey, I need a bunch of information from you. Like I need to know who you are and your address and stuff like that. Because they're very serious about certification. They've never used it for verification or anything, but they will use it to verify transcripts and to send, shirts and other collateral that you get when you um, uh, when you go through certification. All right, so it's in. Now, when you come here, once you're in, like logged into the certification system, from that initial link, so notice it's been like 4 or 5 clicks to get here, right? You're gonna click on schedule new exam, and then you're gonna look for the exam in question. Now, note, by the way, I'm gonna blow this up so you can see it better. There's now an eye chart full of exams that you may take. How great for you that we are actually here just doing one exam today, right? I usually schedule with Pearson VUE. I think that's the only one that does online right now. So you want to come here and just click on Pearson VUE. And they have different locations, so you can look independently. But to answer the earlier question that Christopher was asking, you can say that, I want to take it at my home or office. It'll ask you to run a pre-check if you want to. You click next, and then you have to agree and read through all the exam policies, which I probably shouldn't just click through them, but that's what's happening. And you do have to click. And then it'll ask you what your preferred language is, and then what will happen is it will pop up. I think it asks for a calendar, if I remember correctly, next. And so it'll say, hey, what would you like? Make sure you're taking the right exam, and then would you like to schedule the exam at a certain time? And that's it. Once you pick your time and click confirm, you get a bunch of emails. It will send you a reminder email to like, hey, I want you to test this and make sure you got this ready. Because just so you know, when you take the online exam, you want to have a very clear workspace. You can't wear a watch. You can't have a phone nearby. And they are deadly serious about this. They are sensitive because I am not the most rigorous person when it comes to rules. But I made sure I definitely stayed inside the boundaries while I was there because, like, I got up one time for just a minute because I wasn't sure they weren't responding to me, and I got up and they immediately came online. They were like, "Hey, what are you doing? We just want to know why you got up." And I was like, "Oh, you guys weren't responding, so I went to check my phone because we had been interacting with through text." So anyway, so here we are finding an appointment. So you just click your appointment, choose your time, and then it'll give you a list of times. This does run 24/7. So I've seen, here you go, AM times. They it seems to be shifting it, but sometimes like 3 a.m. is available, which of course, if you're in the Eastern time zone, doesn't make any sense. But they started to scope it a little bit more. So here we got 5:15 a.m. all the way down to 10 p.m. You can request times outside of this if you contact them directly. So if you're a night owl and you want to take it at 1 o'clock in the morning, why not? Why not do that? So let's see. All right. So, and then I would just choose the time. It'll ask to confirm, and then everything's roses from there. It just figured out. You can reschedule your exam if memory serves twice, and then they're gonna ask you to take the exam or cancel it. They're not gonna let you reschedule it. Note that the price for this exam is $100. So it is the cheapest of the AWS exams, but it will cost you some money. Hopefully, you will get reimbursed for that. All right. Jason, just to let you know, I'm going to unmute you for a second in about 5 seconds. So you might want to mute yourself. I just want you to have control over your mute in case you want to talk. Okay. Jason, you got unmuted. Let's see, Diego, same with you. I'm going to unmute you in about 5 seconds just so you can control your own mute. And everyone else is all self-muted, so you have control over your audio destiny. All right. So let's pretend that I've scheduled my appointment and I'm paying the $100 and I'm going to proceed to checkout. I'm just going to go ahead and remove this out of my cart. There was a question: is that if your profile is, not they're in the right place, who do you contact? You have to contact the support line on AWS in order to get that changed. So you'll have to contact AWS, the certification team, directly. So I'll get you a better answer, Keith, because I don't have the support line memorized, but I'll get you a better answer before we close for the day. All right, so that's the first link in the document that I just shared with you. So that was this document, the 4-week Cloud Practitioners Study Group. All right, so that was the first link, scheduling your exam. So I highly recommend that, as soon as all the stars align, if you need approval for expensing it or whatever's going on as far as that goes, that you schedule your exam as soon as you can. Just go ahead and do it. When would you schedule exam? I would, to be comfortable, I would just do 6 weeks out. And you're like, well, Michael, we're done on the 15th. And it's like, yeah, so do, like the last week in June, or around June 30th, like right before 4th of July, because you'll go in, pass your exam, celebrate. 4th of July will be here. You feel amazing. So, but I would schedule it if you can as soon as possible around the June 30th timeframe. Let me add that in there, by the way. All right, let's blow that up too, because guess what? This looks like an eye chart otherwise. All right. Just to check in with everybody, we just went over logistics. So we covered a bunch of pieces about why we're here and what we're doing. People have typed into the chat like what their intention is for their certification. Are they going for cloud, or are they going for something beyond cloud like architecture and a specialty exam? So a lot of people have answered. We are skipping next week, so we're not back until the 1st of June, which is a Monday, not a Tuesday. And we're meeting at 7:30, and hopefully you've gotten an email with all that information in there. So shouldn't be any surprises there. My contact information, minus the misspelling of the COK instead of COM, is in the messaging room. So I'll type that up again just in case. I'll type it in correctly this time. And then, of course, I posted a link for this Google Doc inside there as well. Do note that if you are on VPN, this will probably not work. So, all right. Any questions? Okay. Looks like we're looking good. Okay. If you've taken any of my webinars on how to study, then you know that we've already answered question one. Question one is what role, what certification really are you going for, which you've already answered because you're here and you've taken the class, the Cloud Practitioner Essentials class. And the second part is, if you're going to go get a certification, how do you get there? Well, the funny thing is that there is really no ramp up guide for cloud certification. So we'll have to go to the exam guide. So what we'll do is that we can either grab a ramp up guide, or we can grab an exam guide. And it's just as easy, by the way, as if, well, actually, you know what? I'm just making that complicated. If you just type in AWS ramp up guide, and let's choose architecture, because I actually think that architecture has a great cloud practitioner section in it. This link right here, which I'm going to post and I'm going to put into the doc, just because I'm trying to be thorough. So, and actually the architecture ramp up guide is already there, but this is the ramp up guide. And so what this is that this is the easy study guide that AWS has written to give you the things that they want you to at least look at, if not memorize, and they want you to just take a look at all these things. So really, for Cloud Practitioner Essentials, it's really just phase 0. Like, for example, let's compare this against the developers ramp up guide. So AWS developers ramp up guide. Ramp up guide for security. Oh, did I mess that up? There's the developer guide. All right. So notice that this phase 0 between these two guides is practically identical. Actually, it is identical. So that's what we're going to use for Cloud Practitioner, is that this is a great kind of like documentation repository for some things that you might want to look at, but are not necessarily required for you to look at, to really round out any missing information. If I say EBS versus Elastic Beanstalk versus VPCs versus NACLs, do you know what all those acronyms mean? The practice exams will reveal a lot of that for you, so don't sweat it if you don't. But if you're just like someone who wants to take it that extra mile, like for example, you could look in the glossary, which I just clicked on the screen share. I just clicked on the glossary, and you could click on V, and then you could like do a quick search for VPC, and guess what? That means virtual private cloud. Or Michael just said EBS earlier. What does that mean exactly? Oh, look at that. There's a reference. It means Amazon's Elastic Block Store. So this is just the glossary from that guide. So be aware that you want to spend some time learning phase 0, which is this. Just some time. Skim it, get a glass of wine, drink some tea if you're into that, right? Like, because not everybody's an alcoholic. I'm just kidding. I don't drink myself. So grab something comfortable and just like go through and just skim these pieces. You know, whatever will make it comfortable for you. I do not need you to play a memorization game with this. This is meant to be work. This is not meant to be stressful. Okay. We are doing the easy slide into Cloud Practitioner. Don't worry, there's other exams where you can get all stressed about how we're going to get this done within a time frame. Cloud Practitioner Essentials is not one of those exams. So just know that phase 0 is here. Would love for you to spend some time just focusing on this. And so I'm going to screenshot that. I'm going to stick this right in our doc. I will comment on that later and fill in exactly what that means. This is being recorded, by the way, and WebAge should be sending you a recording. So you can, if you like something you want to review, just let me know. But always, if you have any questions, just ask me. Okay, so that was step 2 for us. Is 1, I'm asking you to optionally schedule your exam. Step 2, I'm asking you to get a ramp-up guide, which is going to give you some documentation that you can skim and look at. But here's really the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be doing for the next 5 weeks. Really, this is it. This is it's not the holy grail, it's just the focus, right? So I'm at this point very tempted to say the words bacon because I've been talking about bacon all day long, but unfortunately bacon is not the goal. The goal is certification. So our main vehicle for this, and this is not included in class, it'll cost you about $12 or $15, right? Is these Udemy practice, this singular Udemy practice exam, and I hope you see here that it's going to cost you $13, right? This exam guide, and I don't know what the circumstances are. You have to talk to your manager, but you may be able to expense this if you want to. But it's $13 for you to get this Certified Cloud Practitioner Exam Guide, and it is specifically by a gentleman named John Bonso, right? So yeah, so you see it right here. I'll blow this up a little bit so you can see it. John Bonso is the creator, right? And this guy writes unbelievable exam guides. Every one of he runs a website called Tutorial Dojo, and I gotta tell you, it's just exceptional. Let me show you why. So this link right here, I'm going to post in the chat, but you've also got it in the document. This is the Udemy course. And then, by the way, if it gives you a different price, go into incognito mode in your browser and then go look at it and then sign in, right? Because they use cookies to kind of track and execute all that stuff. Someone passed it on to us earlier. And if you still don't get a price that's around $12 or $15, add it to your wish list. And Udemy runs the sale practically every 2 or 3 weeks, and you will quickly get the exam guide. But it should be around $12 to $15. Don't pay anything more for that. Don't pay the $25 unless you just really want to. Let's see. Okay, so
can I ask a question, buddy?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
So how does this this practice exam compare to like Test King or Pass for Sure or something like that? Is it the same concept, or does this guy use more of a pull it out of the book type of situation?
Well, let me show you. Actually, let's talk about it, and then you can tell me because I haven't looked in Test King probably in like 3 or 4 years. I'm assuming it's still the same, but we'll take a look inside and you'll tell me like if there's any major differences. Because I got some things that I really like about him, and Test King for me was more of a memorization practice, which I'm not a fan of. So we'll take a look inside. And you tell me. Sorry, who is that talking, by the way?
Diego.
Okay, yeah, Diego. So let's circle back around. Let's see if it makes sense. All right. So the reason I like John is 1, he has an incredible memory. Like photographic does not really describe it. Two, he's totally endorsed by AWS, so I don't have to worry about any weird legal illegitimate issues, right? But the other thing that's cool about John is that let's say that we come in and we take a test, right? And so I'm going to actually switch to one of the tests I've already taken. So look at that, oof, 87%. You now know that your teacher's flawed. Anyway, so so let's say I come in here and you, by the way, you can answer one question on the test and then just stop the test. Like, for example, I haven't taken test 4 before. So let's say I begin the test. I'm gonna blow this up so it's actually a lot more visible. Let's say engineers having trouble, the EC2 instances, application I'm running in AWS, blah, 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 blah. Man, that's a good question. Look for an AMI. Oh, that'd be interesting. Create a Docker image and launch. I mean, wouldn't she still have licensing issues? That might work, actually. AMI would probably function. So let's say I take a guess on there and I just answer one question and then you stop the test. You just say finish it. That's what I recommend that you do when you first get these exams, because I want you to practice them, and you don't necessarily know all the answers yet. If you feel like taking everything, that's fine, but the goal here is not memorization. So if I click on review question, because I only answered one question, and I just say, look, I just want to look at all the questions. Notice I got the first one right? Because you can go to the marketplace and actually buy a licensed version of whatever it is this person is running that's causing them licensing issues. And so the cool thing I like about John, this exam, and this is why this is kind of the core of what we're going to be doing for the next 5 weeks, is that John gives you the right answer. He gives you an explanation about why it's the right answer. If there's any diagrams or any visuals that he can throw in there, that will be awesome. And then he's going to tell you why the other answers are wrong, right? He's going to tell you why the other 3 answers are wrong, and then he's going to give you references. And just to add this in there, John maintains his own personal website of cheat sheets and kind of what they call cram sheets. We'll probably see them later on down here, but he'll have, for example, a cheat sheet. So this is the second question. He's got a cheat sheet on his website that you can click on, and it will give you a quick cheat sheet for how to navigate and manage, for example, CloudFront. So I really like John for that, because he gives you the right answer, the wrong answer, an explanation as to why everything's right, an explanation as to why everything's wrong, and then he will tell you exactly where he got it from AWS, and then he will tell you a condensed version if he has a cheat sheet for it, which most of the stuff he does have a cheat sheet for. So to circle back around, Diego, how does that compare with Test King? Does Test King do all that stuff? I'm not sure if it does or not. I have no idea.
It's pretty similar, but like you said, I think this guy has more of an approach where he wants you to understand the concepts so you can read through the question and kind of deduce what the right answer is. As where Test King is basically a dump of previously used questions, and you just you see them and you memorize them, as opposed to take a deep dive into each question.
Good. Okay. Good. I wasn't sure if that assessment was still accurate, because it's been a couple of years since I've seen them. Yeah, so that's 100% on. And notice that even when you heard me like expound a little bit of my thought process, because I didn't really know the answer of the first question like right off the bat, but you heard like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be, it wouldn't be this because it's licensing and da 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 da, and then you heard me choose the second one and then go forward. That's really the best way. Don't get me wrong, with John's memory, these questions are right off the exam. He's reworded them, so he's avoided any legal issues with Amazon, which they are aware of, right? But he's reworded them, but he's pulled them right off the exam. He has an adaptive memory, I think is how you say it, where he just can see something and then he can recall it like it's a photograph, like a more advanced version of a photographic memory. It's pretty cool. Anyway, cool guy. So he's held this stuff, and so as you saw, there are 4 practice tests here. So to mention this, like this first test, let me blow this up. I got an 87% on. So what we're looking for is even if you only get 1, maybe 2, hopefully 3, a minimum of 3 tests that you can do this with, you need to pass 3 of the practice exams with a 95%. That's what we're looking for. And that's really the bulk of what if you do nothing else for the remainder of the next 5 weeks, except do these practice exams, because you've already taken the class, you've already taken the labs. Don't worry, the next time we meet, I'm going to talk about more hands-on labs when you need, if you want them, right? But if all you did was do these study questions, figure out what the right answer is, what the wrong answer is, and look at the reference guides if you need to go deeper, but I really want you to understand the reasoning as to why those other answers are wrong and this answer is right. If you that's all you did for the next 5 weeks, you're good. To date, and this is not a guarantee, by the way, I want to make sure I'm clear about that. To date, everybody who has done the 95% across 3 practice exams has passed the Cloud Practitioner exam through my particular classes. So not a guarantee, but thus far, everybody's passed. So it seems to be working pretty well. And there's been a wide range of experience. A lot of people have had 0. Some people have had a lot of experience with AWS, but they've passed the Cloud Practitioner. So I have friends, by the way, who are DevOps engineers who can't pass this test because they were kind of making fun of me. And I was like, oh yeah, well, you've been doing it for a while. You can just pass. He's like, because they were like, oh, the certifications are weak. And I was like, oh yeah, well then you should be able to pass them because you're like a high level DevOps engineer. So just know that experience and breadth doesn't really have a whole lot to do with you passing the exam. Focusing in on the certification will get you to pass the certification. So again, if this is all you did for the next 5 weeks, this is the meat and potatoes. Get the Udemy course, practice the practice exams, do it every day. And as you do it every single day, and you do this over the course of 5 weeks, what we're targeting is that we're looking for 95 percentile of passing on these exams. Okay? So there's a bunch of other questions that come after that.
Hey, buddy, one more quickie. Did you say for the $12 or $12.99 we get the course and the practice questions, or just the practice questions?
Just the practice exam. Yeah, you don't
Got
get
it,
a course.
got it.
You don't get a course for that. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, that'd be a deal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I thought I misheard you.
Yeah. No, you just get the practice exam like course questions. Yeah. That's
That's
all.
a good deal. King wants $80.
Yeah. 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 And the quality of these is amazing. I cannot stand by it enough. Yeah. Okay. Do note, by the way, that once you buy this, for as long as the exam's in existence, John has been updating the exam. So honestly, I don't really know how he does it because he's got like 9 exams he's maintaining. He updates this thing at least once a month, once every 2 months. I think that's the longest I've seen it go is 60 days. Every time I come in here, it says, hey, there's a new version of the practice test now available. Do you want to test against the latest version? And also just know if they upgrade to a new version of Cloud Practitioner, because they do that on occasion, John then updates to the new version and he will tell you that I'm now on the new version, not of the old version. So once you buy this for $12.99, you've got this like in perpetuity. And so John plans on maintaining it until they retire the cloud certification, which given the life cycle of cloud, that'll probably be another 10, 15 years, maybe 20, who knows? So we'll see how technology evolves over the next 10 years. All right. Any questions? Let me check. Actually, there's some questions. How is lab knowledge tested in the exam? So lab knowledge is not really tested at this level. So you'll see some of it, but not a whole lot of it. They're not going to ask you questions about API endpoints. They're not going to ask you to run, AWS, commands, version 2.0, 1.18. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They're not going to ask you to, enumerate any methods inside of software development kits. They don't do that. This is the foundational level. So how do they test lab knowledge? They don't. Not really. This is a trivia exam that has some scenarios to it, but is mainly a functional assessment of, do you know what the service does? Do you know the various knobs in the service? It doesn't necessarily tell you how do you turn those knobs. So if you fail the test, how long do you have to wait before retaking the test? Last I saw was 2 weeks, but I pulled that off of my memory. So we might have to look that up here in a second just to make sure that's 100% factual. They've changed a lot of things over the last few weeks. Let's see. Another question is that, do you need to pass the certification in 5 years like Cisco certification? So it used to be they expired every 2 years if memory serves, and they've upped it to 3 years for some certifications. But they keep tweaking that. But they raised it to 3 years here recently, so it takes 3 years for the exam to expire. So one of the questions was, so then what's the motivation for us to use labs? Because notice I haven't actually included labs as part of our initial target. But what's the motivation for using labs? Some people learn by doing. It's not easy for some people to read about like theoretics, abstraction. So people need to go do it. So they can, if they read it and then they go do it, that's the best of both worlds, because then you're getting kind of the experience and the expertise woven together. So some people need the labs in order to cement the abstracted information. So that's why I even mentioned that that's going to be something we talk about in the second session, because you're going to get a lot of abstraction, and we're going to want to make sure that for those of you who are like, well, it's not quite clicking for me, then we might need to add some labs in there just to make sure that you've really got it in there. Like we can talk about, for example, S3, right? Simple storage service, you know, it's object storage, so it's API driven, it goes into buckets. In those buckets, we put prefix folders, but really they're just objects with prefixes on them. You can put, you know, according to AWS, an unlimited number, and that's all a lot of really good words. But if I tell you that and we go create a bucket and you see the prefixes in action and you turn on versioning and you turn on the logs, everything starts to coalesce. For some people, the talking about is good enough. For others, you gotta put the Legos together and break them apart. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Any other questions? Got some good ones. No. All right. We'll make sure everybody's still unmuted. Excellent. Let's see everybody good. Let's see. One question that actually several people have asked is if you take this certification, what kind of job role would be appropriate if you had this kind of cert? So this kind of job role would be appropriate for anyone who is loosely associated with cloud, meaning like, you know, an analyst, a project manager, you know, a manager of any type who probably isn't like directly hands-on, who still needs to understand the concepts. Someone who maybe is in an architect role and is only peripherally starting to touch cloud. And so you're not necessarily architecting for cloud, but you're like receiving services from AWS. And so you want to know how those are proffered and what that looks like. So this is a foundational certification that kind of gives you the job role where you're just starting to get a little bit into cloud. You're not necessarily a developer of, you know, AWS. You're not a DevOps engineer who's doing operations against AWS. You're not architecting and designing AWS. You're just a step away from that, where you're associating with teams or you're consuming services from AWS in a secondary fashion. So, you know, I don't know that there's any particular job role that this ties to. This is just like, hey, let's just get you familiar with what we do, and then you need to chase your role from this point forward. So I noticed that a lot of, like I said, project managers, business analysts, middle managers of all types, and support people will get their cloud practitioner certification to just kind of get the conversation started. A lot of the developers, operations folks, and architects, and security engineers, and you know, data science, machine learning folks, database administrators, that kind of thing, will also start here, or they'll start with something called Technical Essentials, which is another class, and then they'll go into their specific role classes. But this one's not. This one's just beginning. So mainly a support role or any associated secondary role with cloud is probably going to be the best position for someone with this cert. I would say that if someone was looking to use this as to prove their expertise to get a job, you want to go into the associates level and get either a developer, a system operations, or a architecture certification. Architecture being the most versatile of the three and the most popular by far. So, good. Excellent questions. All right. So we talked about the practice exam. So this is the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about how this goes, like how this happens. Before we do that, though, around the scheduling, I do also want to mention is that we do have a short play factual quiz. You know, if you want to use it as flashcards, for example, it answers some basic questions. This is nice. I would say that I would focus primarily on the practice exams and not so much on this. But this is here if you're like getting bored and you can't access it, or like you want to, I want to like see something different instead of like going through these long questions. Like, what are the 3 major models of cloud deployment according to AWS? Right? These come straight from the slides that were presented to you in the class itself. So on-premise, hybrid, and of course just pure cloud deployment. So just know that this quiz link is also available right here under flashcards. So you can use that as well. Okay. So then, Michael, you haven't talked about the time commitment. What is the time commitment for all this to make all this happen? Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I'm going to show you my sorted little schedule. Don't get intimidated. I'm going to show you some personal things, so just bear with me for a second. Nothing weird, but well, maybe some things weird. I don't know. All right, so let's say that this is my week, for example. Wow, that's a crazy week. Is that really my calendar? Hold on. Yeah, I guess that is my calendar. So actually, let's choose last week because I think that would have not as much stuff on there. Oh, I know why. Because I have a bunch of my calendars turned off. Let's turn this back on. All right, here we go. I'm like, why is this so empty? All right, so this is like a week, right? And you're looking at this and you're gonna go, Michael, that's like crazy. Like, what are we doing? Let's pick a day, just to make that simple. All right, so let's shorten the view a little bit. So here I got dinner with my boys, and I got a bunch of like other stuff on here. So and this is split across the different calendars that I have, right? So amalgamized, this is all like one big day. So to mention this, for the study group to really work, you have to schedule a 30-minute chunk every day that you're going to study. And there's a temptation to just kind of like, well, I'll leave here and I'll just figure it out. And that's, I'm going to tell you, that's not going to work. Now I'm not going to police it, obviously. I'm just telling you from experience, we know that doesn't work, right? So what needs to happen is that you actually have to, like, and I would recommend that you do this pretty much as soon as we're done, or at the very latest, no later than 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. By 10 a.m. tomorrow, schedule out your time. It doesn't have to be the same time every day. It would be better if it was the same time every day. So like when I practiced before, because I did actually study the exam guides a little bit before I actually took the Cloud Practitioner exam again. I think it was like my 3rd time taking it. Because you want to go through the process. I just don't want to give it to you and not actually have done it, right? So I went through and did it. And I think if I remember correctly, at 8:30 a.m. I spent 30 minutes every day because this is pre-COVID-19, right? I was spending at 8:30 a.m. and I just set it up so that Monday through Friday it was 8:30 a.m. And then I think on Saturdays, I skipped Saturday, and then on Sunday I also had it at 8:30 a.m. because Saturday it was kind of like a rest day for me. So, so what I want you to do is I want you to schedule your time for like the next 5 to 6 weeks. Pick a 30-minute chunk, and let's say that you only get 5 minutes in, or 15 minutes in, or like you do 5 minutes one day and you end up squeezing the next day 45, 55 minutes in. Fine. If you're going to only do one question, but you really do that one question really well, you've got it, right? But it's going to be about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours a week, but about 3 hours a week of consistent study over the next period of time to really like cement this home, to really take it to the level where you're going to be comfortable passing the exam. Remember, our goal is to get 95% on 3 of the practice exams. So in order to do that, you're gonna have to put the time in, and when you first do it, it's gonna be painfully slow. You're not gonna have context, everything's not gonna sync, and what's gonna happen is that you're gonna slowly build momentum, so you've gotta have that discipline of having it scheduled first. So I would highly recommend that, today is the 19th. By tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., put on your schedule everything that you're gonna do, right? Everything that's, that's gonna happen. So 30 minutes a day, 6 days a week. I know you're like, what, Michael? That's 3 hours. I was like, yeah, I know. That's what we're shooting for, right? If you want to go for 7 days a week, that's great. Maybe take a day off. That's good too. But schedule for 30 minutes and just keep going, because notice it's the 18th. and then we're doing the 25th, and then it's the 1st, and then it's the 8th of June, and then it's the 15th of June, and then we're here, and this is going to be like, this is it, right? This is our last session. Notice I even have you guys on my calendar for sessions 2, 3, and 4, right? At 7:30, so we're going to be there. So yeah, so there it is. Any questions about that? Now that I've just revealed my personal schedule and violated a whole host of security concerns, the security guys are like, oh my God, I can't believe he just showed his schedule. That's crazy. No? All right. Well, currently, after you schedule your time, so again, optionally schedule your exam, look at the ramp up guide, grab the Udemy questions, that's there. Review the flashcards if you're interested, right? I'm going to put optional, by the way, in front of these big items that I really just want you to kind of just consider, right? Because you don't necessarily need to do them. Like review the flashcards, that's not necessary. Schedule, but these are required. So these items in bold, these are the ones you really have to dig into because this is the bulk. And then you're going to practice, and then you're going to practice again, right? And you're going to do it at least 30 minutes a day for this version of the class. And then if you have any questions, any concerns, any confusion, text me, email me, save them for the class, bring them next time. But the next time we meet, what we're going to do is we're actually going to review and see where everybody's at, where your comfort level is. And then we're going to talk about some hands-on experience. And then we're going to like run through a practice. Like we're going to run through like a practice exam together and see how well we do together. I'm going to have you put your answers in there. We're going to run through it. I'm going to show you my rationale and reasoning for why I think the answer is a certain thing, because you'll see me get some wrong, right? That'll happen. And then, and then we'll just keep going at it until we get it. So I'm really here to help you. And this is my mission in life. It's not just about like my role here. Like my mission in life is to elevate and help people. So, don't hesitate to contact me. I know we don't know each other, but like call me, email me, text me, do whatever you need to do. And then if we need to escalate and get to like a group or something else that people can share questions offline, we'll do that. But meanwhile, just focus on sending questions to me. And if you can save them for when we get to class, even better, we'll share them with everybody else. Okay? So let me review for those who might not know. You're gonna focus on 3 things. First, you're gonna schedule your exam if you want to, right? Second, you're gonna get the Udemy practice questions. You're gonna get them from Udemy, the link that I shared with you. You're gonna get it, and then you're gonna schedule 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. 6 days a week to practice. Hopefully the same time every day. And third, you're just gonna keep going. You're just gonna keep going. That's it. That's all you're gonna do. So it really, to distill it down, you're gonna get the practice exam. You're gonna schedule your 30 minutes. You're gonna practice 30 minutes a day. That's it. Good. All right. So it's 8:25. We got 5 minutes left. Anything burning? Anything unclear? Or maybe you just, you have a soliloquy or some other kind of poetry or poem that you want to sell. You got a captive audience, so now's your chance to share. No? Because, sometimes, when I'm talking about like not doing unicorns, I'll bring out the unicorn. So that doesn't always happen. All right. Let's see. Oh, someone asked me where I get the motivational posters on my wall. I don't know if you see this back here, but this is a small kitty cat with like a lion, and it says "Mindset is everything," right? Because if you ever dealt with a cat, I don't have cats personally, but they do act like that. The rest of these motivational posters, oddly enough, all came from Amazon. So if you look for motivational posters on Amazon, they're all over the place. I just picked this up recently, actually, because people were complaining that my walls were boring, since COVID's happening. So I just got a bunch of stuff, And actually, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it would be a distraction. It's been awesome. So, yeah, good. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm going to give you 4 minutes back this time. Just know when we have enough time next time, we're going to go all the way through all of the questions next time. So we're going to go through one of the practice exams. Good. All right. So I'm going to linger for a few minutes, but I'm going to put the screen on pause. I'm going to repost the link for the Google group in there just to make sure that everybody has, sorry, not the Google group, to the Google Docs so everybody has access to it. Again, it's michael.forrester with 3 R's, so 2 in the front, 1 at the end, at Web-Based Solutions if you need to contact me. Otherwise, I'm letting you go. I'm going to hang out here for a second if you have any other questions. Otherwise, I will see you on June the 1st, and you will have studied for 6 hours by the time I see you next time. And we're going to run through everything, and you're going to be halfway, if not 3/4 of the way, ready to take your certification exam. All right, everyone. You have a fabulous night, and I will see you in 13 days. Have a great Memorial Day if I don't talk to you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. We will catch you next time.
Yep.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brendan.